Hey vinyl friends and vinyl community, Brian here with Brian's Vinyl Records, and I'm just about to leave to head to the local record store to do something I didn't know I'd ever be able to do. But if you've followed my podcast lately, you know that I'm talking about purging albums. I started doing this on Discogs. I've sold quite a bit, probably about 50 albums so far through Discogs, and this time I'm going to bring a stack of records to my local shop, give them some inventory, and work it that way. So I wanted to show you the albums that I'm bringing to the record store to sell. Beastie Boys, License to Ill. Good album, but really not something I'm hugely into. Bought it as a novelty type thing from Target, and just doesn't need to sit in my collection and collect dust. So off it goes. Whitney Houston, self-titled Whitney. Again, just something I don't listen to very often. Meghan Trainor, Thank You. Really loved her first album. After that, just haven't been able to get myself into the newer stuff that she's done. So this has been played one time and really has sat on my shelf. So it's going away. Lisa Loeb, Stay. This is the Record Store Day release that came out. And it is, I believe, on red vinyl, if I'm not mistaken. But it's just the single. It's got 5 tracks on here, and honestly, just don't listen to it. So that's going. Kelly Clarkson, Meaning of Life. Really like Kelly Clarkson a lot, but I stopped really paying a lot of attention to her after the My December album, which is, by the way, my favorite of her albums. And I like it, but again, I typically gravitate towards those early albums if I'm going to listen to Kelly's music. And so for that reason, this one's going. Billy Joel's Greatest Hits, Volumes 1 and 2. Really good compilation, highly sought after in the VC, but I have most of the albums with the songs on this, and I really kind of like the studio albums, so this one rarely gets played, and so it's going. 2 Cheech and Chong albums that came in a box of records that was given to me by my father's best friend. Allman Brothers Live at Fillmore East. This is a phenomenal album. This is a reissue from 2000 and I want to say 18 or something like that. I got a older pressing on Capricorn Records of this album that sounds absolutely killer, so just didn't need 2 copies, so this one's going to go. Mike and the Mechanics, Out of the Blue. This is kind of like a greatest hits of theirs. The only difference is that they re-recorded all the songs with their new singer. I didn't like it at all, so this is going away. The MC5, the Motor City 5. This was a prize that I won at a record store crawl, and so just really not my thing. Someone else will get more enjoyment out of it than I will. It's a splatter vinyl, and Monkey's Christmas. Bought this last year and just really didn't like it at all. So I'm getting rid of that. Voodoo Dolls Christmas, Barnes & Noble exclusive version. Again, bought this last year and just didn't care much for it. So Stax Does the Beatles. This is a Record Store Day album, and I just did not get into it at all. Just not my favorite covers of the Beatles albums. So, Sin Kane. This one I won as a prize from Noble Records. It's a really, really cool album. Some great sounds, very well produced. But again, just not something I typically listen to, and I decided that I just didn't need it sitting in the collection because I wasn't going to bust it out much. But a very good album. The Pretenders. Just never really could get into the Pretenders, so I gave it a try. Didn't work for me. Someone else. The Lumineers Cleopatra. Again, really enjoyed the Lumineers album with Hey Ho on it. Just really haven't gotten into them since, so this one's been sitting here. B-52s, self-titled. Great album, but I recently upgraded to a MoFi version, so this one's going. Same situation here. My favorite Elvis Costello album, this year's model. Recently upgraded to the MoFi, so this is going to go. Elvis Costello's new album, Hey Clockface. Very different from Elvis Costello's stuff. Couldn't really get into it, so just gonna let it go. Oasis, What's the Story, Morning Glory. This is a reissue on vinyl that came out recently, and after listening to it, I don't like it. I don't know why. I just don't like it. So I have the CD. If I want to hear the songs I like, Champagne Supernova, Don't Look Back in Anger, or Wonderwall, I'll play it off that instead. Rage Against the Machine, you know, good album, but never was a big Rage fan. Bought it for nostalgia, don't need it. The Movements, Feel Something, really good album. Got this as a mistake from Amazon. They let me keep it. But again, I've only listened to it a couple times. Really cool splatter vinyl. So maybe someone else will get some enjoyment out of that. This is a big one. Presidents of the United States of America. Reissue that just came out last year, I believe. And this is the black vinyl version, not the green one that you did on the Kickstarter. Just, again, Lump, Kitty, Peaches. Those are really the songs I like off this album. I have the CD. I really don't need this on vinyl. Steve Perry, Traces. Good album, but yeah, just don't need it. Derek and the Dominoes. Great album, great album. This is a good pressing, but I upgraded to the MoFi, so I can let this one go. This is a reissue of this one. Live, Mental Jewelry. Okay. Yeah, I really like Throwing Copper. Just haven't been able to get really into anything past that. So, not a bad album, just not one I'm going to listen to. Both albums by The Firm, Jimmy Page, Paul Rogers. Good stuff, but again, never really got into them younger, so I probably won't. 2 Joan Jett albums, great albums, but again, don't spin them enough. Guardian, this is Fire and Love. Really good album. However, I'm more of a Miracle Mile guy, and so don't really listen to this often enough. 2 albums by the local black metal band False. They broke up recently over sexual assault allegations, so I was buying these to support the lead singer because she is the sister-in-law of my former boss, so don't need those around. 2 Rob Zombie albums, Hellbilly Deluxe and The Sinister Urge. Good albums, but don't listen to them much. Cheery Curry, this is her latest album. It's pretty good, but again, just don't break it out enough to bother keeping it. So, Cinderella Live at the Key Club. This is number 516 out of 1,000. Good live set, really fun stuff, but live albums aren't really my favorite things in the world to listen to. I will listen to them once in a while. I prefer acoustic versions or acoustic live albums over, you know, regular live albums. And there are some live albums I really like, such as the Allman Brothers and some others like that. But in general, not my favorite. And I bought this, and it's really been sitting here. It's time to move to someone else. Aerosmith's self-titled debut album. This is a European pressing of the album from, I believe, 1980. Very good, but I have the original. I have 2 copies of it, so I didn't need this one. Couple Rainbow albums with Ronnie James Dio. Couple Quiet Riot albums. Again, I usually reach for Mental Health, Condition Critical, and QR3. Never. Kicks, self-titled debut album. You know, good album, but again, if I'm going for Kicks, I typically pull out Blow My Fuse, so this one can go. Janie Lane, Catch a Falling Star. This is cool. It's Janie Lane doing covers of a ton of his favorite songs. So a really cool album, well done. But again, I bought it and I probably listened to it twice since buying it, and so now these ones might get some attention here. Bon Jovi self-titled, Bon Jovi Fahrenheit, or 7,800 degrees Fahrenheit, Bon Jovi Bounce, and Bon Jovi What About Now. This one's not as popular or known, but still a good album. Just thinning out the Bon Jovi collection to really the albums that I typically will play, so getting rid of some. Night Ranger Dawn Patrol. This is a second copy I have, so didn't need to have 2. Okay. Hell Yeah, Undeniable. This is Dimebag Darrell's brother Vinnie Paul, the drummer for Pantera, his band after Pantera disbanded, and then of course after his brother was unfortunately killed on stage. So this is his band after that, and good stuff, but again, not something I typically listen to very often. So, and last but not least, Ace Frehley, Spaceman. He must have released about 7,000 different variants of this album. This is the silver version of the album. It's okay, but not a big Ace Frehley guy, so this can go. That's it. That's what I have. I'm bringing all this to the record store today to see what they'll give me for them, trade them in, maybe work towards getting something cool, something on high on my list that maybe they have there, or save for something in the future. But those are what I'm purging now. I have a whole bunch of stuff right behind me that I'm going through, grading and listening and making sure everything's good, and those will probably end up on Discogs, as they're typically the $3, $4, $5 albums and not the more expensive stuff. So there you have it. I'm purging. Hope to hopefully someone will get some enjoyment out of these albums instead of them sitting in my bins and on these shelves. So, have you purged albums from your collection? How did it go? Do you take them to the local record store? Do you sell them through Discogs, eBay, other routes, Facebook, Marketplace, things like that? I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. I know in the vinyl community, purging is kind of like a bad word for some people, and everyone talks about how they'll regret it, but I gotta tell you guys, I am so low on space. I have so much stuff that I'll probably not listen to in the next year or two that just doesn't need to take up space in my collection. So that's why I'm doing this, and it feels kind of good. It also feels a little sad to be letting some of this stuff go, but that's how things work. If I like it enough or miss it enough, I can always find another copy somewhere else. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep spinning, vinyl friends.